How is it going? I hope everyone is doing well given the times, and thank you for tuning in into this video. If you guys have seen my previous WCW retro reviews, I stated in those videos I was planning on doing a WCW 1998 pay-per-view rewind, and of course, as you guys can tell by the title below, this will be the first video in that series. For my plan, I am planning for the entire month of May to do a WCW 1998 pay-per-view rewind over the course of the month. So of course, obviously today is May 1st, and this will be the first pay-per-view of 1998. So my plan is throughout the month to release other pay-per-view reviews, and then ending on May 31st with, of course, WCW Starrcade 1998 with that final review for 1998. So that is my current plan. So throughout the month, throughout the weeks, I'll be releasing videos, no set dates. They'll pretty much be coming out probably, every couple of days, every other days, kind of working around other videos coming out, and, whatever video ideas might coming out, on the fly or whatever I feel like uploading. So, spread throughout the month, they'll be released. So, stay tuned for that. So that'll be going on for the entire month of May. But of course, this video is for the very first pay-per-view in 1998 for WCW, being WCW nWo Sold Out. Of course, Sold Out was always a nWo branded pay-per-view with WCW, but in 1998 they really wanted to sell you on the nWo as a brand, because in 1998 every WCW pay-per-view was produced as WCW nWo, so they were kind of co-produced, and yeah, just WCW was really trying to nail in the nWo as a true brand in WCW. So that's what this pay-per-view was presented as. And without wasting any more time, let's go ahead and jump right into the show, which had the opening match of an 8-man tag team match contested under Lucha Libre rules, because pretty much everyone in this match was a luchador. Very fun opener here. This wasn't a typical kind of clusterfuck of a match. At the beginning it was kind of sloppy, but then it progressed very well. Juventud Guerrera had a really nice showing this match. Parka was just doing his typical comedy stuff. So a very fun match, a hype action as well. The crowd was actually into it. Usually with these matches, the crowds don't really react to it in WCW, but they were reacting to this one. The crowd was very highly invested into it, and it was definitely was a great way to kick off the show. Chavo Guerrero got the victory for his team with a tornado DDT to get the win. So this definitely was a hot way to start the show, which led into an anything goes match between Chris Benoit and Raven. Raven comes out, dismisses his flock, pretty much says that he wants to fight Chris Benoit under any rule, doesn't care about the propaganda of the machine. Typical Raven promo. And him and Benoit went out there and just beat the holy shit out of each other, man. They went out there and definitely utilized that anything goes stipulation. They wailed each other with chairs. Especially, there was one point where Raven just clocked Benoit on the back with a chair. I thought he pretty much broke his back with it, but they beat the shit out of each other. Benoit, gave him a suplex on the ramp, which didn't look very pleasant. In the ring, Benoit nails him with a headbutt, but Raven has a chair across his head, so Benoit goes head first into the chair, digging it into Raven's skull. Just looks absolutely brutal. The referee goes for a count, but Benoit drapes the cover before the referee gets the 10 count. Gets a 2 count. Raven hits Raven's DDT on Benoit for a near fall. Tries to go for another one, but Benoit counters into the crossface, and a fantastic finish, man. Benoit is just really draping, really applying the crossface, and Raven's just sitting there laughing as he passes out. Fantastic finish to a really good match as well. Like I said, they beat the shit out of each other, and I thought it was really good. Kidman comes out at the end to attack Benoit. Malenko makes the save. The flock tries to retrieve tries to go after Benoit, but is unsuccessful, and they just retrieve Raven. So really good stuff. Really enjoyed that. Next, we go to the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. Rey Mysterio Jr. defending against Chris Jericho. Very basic formula here. Chris Jericho is pretty much working on the leg of Rey Mysterio, because my left knee is always hurt, and it was hurt in this match. So Jericho just worked over that thing the entire time, applying multiple holds to it, making fun of Mysterio. Mysterio had some small glimpse of hope, but Jericho quickly had the match turn back in his favor. Mysterio tried to go for a Rana, but Jericho countered it into the Lion Tamer to get the submission victory. So Jericho is your brand new WCW Cruiserweight Champion. Good match, but like I said, it was basically had the basic formula of Jericho just working on Mysterio's knee. That's pretty much what the match was. And afterwards, Jericho just absolutely plummeted Mysterio's knee, crushing with the chair, destroying it, just cutting a promo on Mysterio and whatnot. So Jericho was very brutal with his beatdown. He absolutely had made sure Mysterio didn't have left knee after that. But yeah, just good stuff overall. Nothing to glam over. It wasn't blow away Mysterio Jericho stuff like we got in 2009 or anything like that. But it definitely was a good match for what it was. Next, we had an interview with J.J. Dillon regarding the state of the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, given the controversy that happened at Starrcade. Piper comes out, announces the rematch for Sting and Hulk Hogan at Super Brawl 8. So that'll be headlining for the vacant WCW World Heavyweight Championship. This segment fucking sucked, man. It felt like it went on forever. What could have took like a minute out of their time to announce, they took like 15 minutes. It was terrible. It went over time. The segment just wasn't any good by any means. So yeah, why couldn't they just have J.J. Dillon or Piper just immediately come out and announce the match rather than dragging it out for 15 minutes is beyond me. But yeah, wasn't good. WCW World Television Championship, Booker T versus Rick Martel. Booker T definitely, in my opinion, was one of the highlights of WCW in 1998. I feel like his run definitely as WCW World TV Champion was great. He really held that mid-card division down, if you ask me. At least in that TV title scene, you know, the U.S. title scene was really good as well, especially with DDP as champion. And once, you know, Benoit and Raven, you know, went into that title scene later on in the coming months, it became great as well. But yeah, Booker T really held that TV title scene, if you ask me, that year, and him and Rick Martel had a really good match. You know, some good stuff, you know, overall, some good back and forth action between both men. Some nice near falls. Booker T even, you know, hit the Harlem Hangover, get the victory to retain the World Television Championship. So definitely was good stuff overall. Nothing really to talk about, but you know, good solid wrestling match. But of course, afterwards, Saturn attacks Rick Martel because Rick Martel gave Booker T the championship, handed it to him with a sign of respect, and Saturn didn't like that, attacked Martel, but Booker made the save. So, you know, just typical WCW booking there. Scott Hall versus Larry Zbyszko was next, and it started off pretty well, I thought. I thought there was some good stuff between Hall and Zbyszko. The crowd was very hot, it seemed like, for it. But then, you know, Hall just kind of worked on him, put him in a dominable, or Zbyszko put him in a dominable stretch, and then Hall had his comeback, then just worked on him. It worked on him, and the match just got boring, and no one gave a shit. And then Dusty, because he was, you know, next to, he was in Larry Zbyszko's corner because Louie was in Scott Hall's corner. Zbyszko played possum, put Hall in the guillotine. Louie got involved. Dusty took him out. Then Dusty gets in the ring. Zbyszko holds Scott Hall, you know, so Dusty's going for the elbow. As he goes for the elbow, Scott Hall moves, so Dusty ends up giving Zbyszko the elbow, of course, trying to play it off like an accident. But then Scott Hall does the point, and Dusty Rhodes reveals himself to have joined the nWo, betraying Larry Zbyszko. And yeah, that's that. They beat up Zbyszko afterwards, and that's pretty much it. Commentary was in disbelief about the turn for a while. In fact, it carried over completely into the six-man tag team match that was next with Rick Steiner, the Steiner brothers, I should say, and Ray Traylor, Big Boss Man, taking on Scott Norton, Buff Bagwell, and Konnan. The entire match, they couldn't help but keep talking about Dusty joining the nWo. Tony Schiavone would not let it go. That's all he could talk about. No one gave a shit about this match. Not like anyone in the ring gave him a reason to. This match absolutely sucked. They played off that they wouldn't tag Scott Steiner in, so that was what they were playing off of. Steiner eventually gets a tag, even though he gets in the ring when he wasn't legal, but then he tags himself in. Best part of the match, Steiner hits the Steiner screwdriver, huge pop, and that was that. So yeah, pretty much a piss poor six-man tag team match. Then we had Kevin Nash taking on the Giant, which at first this match was kicking ass. They were working. Like, Nash and Giant were having some chemistry. I mean, Kevin Nash fucking did a dive to the outside. Air Nash. How often, if ever, do you ever see Kevin Nash do a dive to the outside on the Giant? But of course, the Giant grabbed him and caught him midair, so it didn't really matter. But I was enjoying their match at the beginning. I thought it was, you know, a good big man match. The two guys going out there and laying big blows with each other. But then Hogan and Bischoff gets involved. Giant choke slams Bischoff. Hogan gives Kevin Nash a cup of coffee, throws it in Giant's face, what sets up for the jackknife. And if you've seen this match, you know Kevin Nash hits the jackknife, and the Giant lands directly onto his neck. And you would think that he's dead. He's dead. But 1, 2, 3. Nash gets the win over the Giant. Just absolutely painful. And of course, you know, they want to play off that. It sucked too, because the whole point of this was to do a kayfabe injury, but in trying to do a kayfabe injury, they shooted themselves into a shoot. They worked themselves into a shoot, I should have said. So trying to sell the coffee injury, then they had to immediately sell on to the legit injury of him landing on his neck. So, man, what a fucking just terrible landing. But yeah, typical WCW to work themselves into a shoot. But yeah, really, really bad landing. And he'd actually be out for, I think, like a month or two he'd be out for. So he was out for a little bit. But yeah, absolutely terrible. And they really sold it. They really, really led you on how terrifying that bump was. And man, it was scary. But yeah, it was going good. And then all the bullshit at the end happened. Typical WCW fashion. Then we had the best match in the show. Bret, the Hitman Hart, making his WCW in-ring debut, taking on Ric Flair. I thought this was a great match. Definitely a great clash of styles between Bret and Flair. You had some, you got that WWF Bret feel. Obviously, this is his first match in WCW, but you really got that vintage Bret feel, which you never really got in WCW. You can definitely tell he didn't give a fuck in WCW, but I definitely tell this match Ric Flair cared. They told a great story, especially with, Bret locking the figure four just to prove to Flair that he could, and Flair getting all pissed at, Bret for doing it. They just had a really great wrestling match overall. Like I said, their different styles just meshed tremendously well, and of course Bret got the victory with the sharpshooter at the end on Flair. So yeah, best match tonight if you ask me, and one of the rare great Bret Hart matches we got in WCW. And then we go to the main event, which should have been the main event, but was Macho Man Randy Savage versus Lex Luger. They pretty much just brawled, got in the ring for a little bit. nWo comes out. Scott Hall tries to get involved, but there's, of course, this is where they were trying to adding that dissension between Macho Man and Hogan. So Hogan, kind of is arguing with Hall, or distracts kind of Hall, honestly, but then Savage ends up getting pushed from Luger into Hall, so he knocks Hall down off the apron. Luger locks in the torture rack, in which Savage taps out. So very short match. This match is only like 6 or 7 minutes long, so it definitely shouldn't have been the main event by any means, but I'm pretty sure that terrible segment went overrun, so they probably had to cut time out of this match for that, because of that. But yeah, nothing good. Afterwards, nWo attacks Luger, which leaves to Sting making the save. Saves Luger, locks in the Scorpion Deathlock on Hogan, as well as Luger locking in the torture rack on Nash to close the show. So that's as they closed. nWo WCW sold out. Overall, I gotta say, the show itself was really good. This is one of the better WCW pay-per-views in the later years of the promotion. Most pay-per-views honestly aren't that good, but this definitely was a really good one. For the most part, I really enjoyed it. The first half of the show was really good. The only bad parts were really the nWo stuff, but really nothing was really bad besides the main event. The 6-man tag, just because of the commentary, didn't give a shit. The match itself wasn't good anyway, so I mean the match itself was pretty bad. And the announcement of Sting and Hogan at Super Brawl, those were really bad things on the show. But besides that, the opener was really good. Benoit and Raven beat the shit out of each other. Jericho and Mysterio was good for what it was. Booker T had another really good match, as he did throughout Evolve 1998. Hall and Zbyszko was decent. It was going good, but typical nWo type, shit going down towards the end ruined it. Nash and Giant was going good until, everything at the end happened. And of course, like I said, match tonight was Bret and Flair. But overall, the show itself, I thought, like I said, was really good. So definitely was a strong way to start WCW in 1998 with that momentum ride throughout the rest of the year. Who knows? Obviously, I'll find out when I watch all these pay-per-views. Like I said at the beginning of the video, throughout the entire month of May, I'll be doing retro reviews for WCW in 1998, or not retro reviews, but pay-per-view rewind for 1998. So obviously today, this video that you tuned in for was the first pay-per-view, and of course, my current plan is for May 31st to be the release of Starrcade, which was the final pay-per-view in 1998. So throughout the entire month, I'll be doing reviews for 1998 and WCW for pay-per-view. So definitely stay tuned for that. Like I said, no release schedule or anything like that. They'll kind of just release when they do. So just keep your eyes peeled for that. Keep your eyes on that subscription box, or if you really want to be notified, hit the notification bell if you really want to. If you really are that intrigued by it, would help me out a lot. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys, please feel free to leave a like below. Really lets me know if you guys enjoy these videos, especially for these series. It might open the door for potential series in the future, so who knows. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. It does mean the world to me. And of course, the next time, I'll see you guys, and thank you guys for watching the video.